Hi Bharath. Good evening. Let's wait for a few more people to join the live. Good evening to everyone. So, I am going to go live with another co author, just like I have been doing since the past few months. This is my 11th segment of the Author Collaborative, and today my guest is Bharath Kumar, who is also a poet and an author like myself. And I have read his book, and he has also, in fact, read my book, and we'll be talking about our writing journeys, and we'll be asking each other some questions about our writing journeys. Hello, Chaya. Thank you for joining. I'm just waiting for a few more people to join the live so I can invite the guest. Okay, so I am just going to now go ahead and add my guest to the live. Bharat, if you are still in the live, can you send me an invite? I am unable to send you an invitation to join the live. Hi Samir, good evening. Thank you for joining. Just waiting for my guest to join us so I can invite him to the live for today. Bharat, if you are still here, can you send me a request to join the live? Meanwhile, if you have any questions for me, please ask in the comment section. I'll be happy to answer them. Till we wait for Bharat to come and join the live session. If you have any questions for me, let me know. Okay, we have Bharat here, and just going to invite and add him to the live. Hello, Sanya. Thank you for joining. Hello, Samir. Hi. Hi, Bharat.
Yeah. Hi, Manati.
Good evening.
Yeah. Good evening.
How are you?
Yeah. Going on. I'm doing fine. How are you?
I'm also doing very well. We have quite a few people joining now. Hello, Sanya. Hello, Hina. Okay, before we begin the session, Bharat, can you just introduce yourself and tell the viewers about yourself a little bit?
Hello, everyone. I'm Bharath. I'm an IT profession by I'm an IT professional in the data analytics domain, and have I think recently I started writing poetry. I have also interests in playing music instrument. I play the keyboard. That is my another hobby. So that is it about me. I've been writing since 1 year. Prior to that, I've been in this data analytics industry for over a decade now.
Oh, that's great. So you are a multi-talented person. You are into IT. You also play music, and you are a writer as well. That's great.
Yeah, yeah. Actually,
Okay.
music is not my own. Means I play it by myself, but it is somebody else's music. So, but I think poetry is something which I only write. So that is something which I admire more.
But still, even copying someone else or getting inspired from someone else's music and recreating that music is a talent in itself. I can't do that. I'm just a bathroom singer.
Even I am a bathroom singer. That's why I settled to playing keyboard.
Okay, so Bharat, I was just telling the viewers that I have read your book, Some Earth Poetry, and I really loved it. So, since after reading that, I had a lot of questions in my mind, as any reader would have. I have a few questions, and would you be game to answer them?
Yeah, yeah, sure. I don't mind.
So, Bharat, my first question is that the poems in your book they are inspired from your real life incidences and experiences. So, can
Right.
you tell us about what inspired you to write those poems and what led to the compilation of this book?
Okay, the explanation or story is a bit long. So
That's
I'll
okay.
just go step by step. So initially, I think it was in the month of July, I had seen a picture of Narendra Modi going to Kedarnath temple.
Okay.
So for some reason, I thought, okay, I have to go to Kedarnath temple this year. I was doing a couple of solo spiritual trips. That was also one of the things that I do. I was doing just two of them, and after that, I thought that okay, next I have to go to Himalayas, and it rather than going very later stage, it's better to go when you're young and fit. So I had decided to go on a Himalayan journey, and in the month of September, I set off to Himalayas.
Hmm.
Mainly, I wanted to see Kedarnath, but this was like a whole pilgrimage package. It took me to Rishikesh, Haridwar, Kedarnath, Badrinath, and Gangotri.
Hmm.
In the whole journey, I mean, initially, people were so tempted to take photos of everything because the whole scenery through the whole journey was so beautiful.
Hmm.
But I think after 2 days, people got exhausted taking photos, and we were just seeing the whole scenery, and we just became silent automatically because we were just mesmerized by the beauty of that place. And I think even though Kedarnath was not as beautiful as I expected it to be, it was actually a very challenging trip because if you don't take the chopper to Kedarnath shrine, you will have to trek at least 22 kilometers
Hmm.
by foot or by a pony.
Hmm.
So, so we took pony upward, and then downward we came by foot.
Hmm.
And after that, 2 days I had body ache. But even though all this pain was there, that visiting the shrine, seeing the shrine, going inside to that shrine was really a beautiful experience. And afterwards, I think when I came back to Haridwar,
Hmm.
that was the place where we actually started our pilgrimage, and we ended it over there at Haridwar. Then I composed my first poetry on Himalayan Sajan. And believe me, I'm not a person who writes poetry. I'm not fond of literature. And in fact, in my school days, I remember the only subject that I failed was English. and uh, and
So this
somehow,
is really your growth curve is really inspiring for those who are listening.
yeah, I
But
mean,
recently
way back
admitted
in
that
school,
he failed in English during his school days, and now he's a published poet and author. So that's really something to take inspiration from.
I mean, I don't know why. I was really struggling with that subject even in school days, and somehow here I'm writing poetry effortlessly. And I wish I thought if I had this talent in school, I'd have at least topped the class or something like that. And anyway, I wrote one poem. People liked it. I mean, I shared it with my co-pilgrims who also went on a journey with me. They
Hmm.
said it's really good.
Hmm.
Then the journey started off from Haridwar. I reached Delhi. Then in Delhi, I got another poem. It was there in the mind, but I didn't play. I really didn't write it. Then from Delhi, I came to Bangalore, and then by the time I was in Bangalore, in a span of 1 week, I think I had written around 30 to 45 poems,
Wow.
and all of them were like, and I don't know, I mean, they were all suddenly my memories were my childhood memories became so clear that I could easily relive them and write it in a poetry form. And that I had written like some 80, 90. And then somebody suggested, why don't you write a book? Then I thought, okay, I thought not to just write about me, but also write about the things that matter to all of us. So, Samarth poetry was mainly written with the intent of raising awareness on climate change, how we can contribute to the causes that concern climate change.
Hmm.
So, climate change, so I had kept that at the last, and I just thought, I mean, even partially, it's like I would say it's a poetry version of.
Bharat, your connection has gone off. I don't think we can see you. in the comments, who those who are watching, can you let us know if Bharat is visible to you? I have lost connection with him. I'll just add him again. Hello, Shruti. Thank you for joining. I'm going to add Bharat again to the live. Let's wait for him to rejoin. In the meanwhile, if you have any questions for me, please let me know in the comments. I'll be happy to answer them. Let's wait for Bharat to rejoin the live and we can add him again. Sorry for the little interruption. I think there is some connectivity issues on the end of my guest. Hi, Rohan. Thank you for joining. Yes, Bharat, I can hear you. Let me invite you again to the live. Hi, Bharat. I think there was some connectivity issue from your end.
Uh, okay, I'm not sure. Hello. Now
Yes,
you can see me
yes,
or
yes, I can
hear
hear you
me?
and I can hear you. You were
Okay.
telling about your poems.
Yeah, yeah. So that's what I thought. Writing poetry just as a expression of gratitude is one thing, and also we need to write poetry with the perspective of raising awareness on the environmental challenges that we
Hmm,
face. So that
hmm,
was the whole theme behind writing some earth poetry. So and some earth also is a very generic as well as a very specific term. When you say some earth, you're just living in some small space of earth, and your experience is also in that small space of earth, and you're also going to be a part of earth
hmm.
once you live. So I mean, once you have finished your lifetime. So that was the whole idea behind writing the book, and I I just published it because I wanted to publish a book that was very old goal. Even though I was not super fluent in my grammar, but I think I wanted to write poetry which is simple, which can be followed even by people who have never read books, and even people who read also should appreciate to a certain extent. I don't expect them to really admire it, but yes, if sometimes there is a very famous quote by this artist. He says that Leonardo da Vinci is a good artist. So he says that simplicity is the ultimate sophistication. So I follow that principle, and I wrote this book. And from nobody has said very negative about it or even negative about it. They have all given me a good rating. Nobody felt that they said that it was a very unique poetry book. They have not read that kind of books. And going forward, I even published some. I became a co-author in at least two or three books, and that was also like the theme. If the theme resonated with me, I would write the book on along with them. If the theme was very open, I would make my submission. If it got through, it got through. Otherwise, it was fine with me.
Okay.
So that was about my book. I hope I
Okay.
didn't bore you.
No, 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 not at all. So, Bharat, I also wanted to ask you: is there any form of writing you engage in with besides poetry?
No, no. I mean, for me, there is no form of writing. I really don't. I have not gone by that. What I do is I read the book. If the book I like it, I like it. If I don't like it, I don't like it. I don't go behind what is the form of writing or what is the form of poetry and all those things. I never done that. And to just a confession that I never knew that we could write poems which need not rhyme also. That was my level of. I mean, if the poem actually, I only listen to songs, and usually in songs, be it hip hop, it's always rhyming. It's always there is a rhythm in it. But in poetry, as such, I have not really read complex poetry from the great finest poets of the English literature as such. Only what I was really fascinated by was Sanskrit literature. Actually, there are some poetries written by a person named Adi Shankaracharya, and he has written it so beautifully that the literal translation itself is so beautiful. I mean, even I have not read all his works, but even if I take a few of them in few stanzas itself, there is so much of beauty in those translations. uh, in English literature, I think William Wordsworth. He has the. I mean, that is the only name that resonates when the term English poetry comes. That's how I have been. So as far as forms of writing, I really don't follow any pattern as such. I'm more interested in the idea behind what is written.
Okay, okay. Okay, so my next question is about how has been your writing journey so far, and uh, what other books have you published besides this?
Okay, so there is this book called Guldasta, and that was my first attempt in Hindi poetry.
Okay,
So,
yeah,
so that there also I raised a concern on the climate change and how I have written that in Hindi, and it's not the literal translation of the climate change poem which I wrote in my first book. So I that is my first attempt in Hindi poetry. The next there was a collaboration done for the Dhoni's farewell. So for that I written a poetry, and then again on similar lines of nature, I had written one more book called co-authored a book called Oz Kuch Bund Kuch Barish Hai. So that is one. So that
okay.
is the.
Yeah, that's great. So tell me about your next plan. Are you working on any other book currently? Any solo
I
book or
mean,
any co-authored book? Are you working on anything?
in one co-authored book, I just received a confirmation, which is be releasing in the month of November.
Okay,
So that is one thing, and yeah, I'm just writing poetry just whenever I get free time. I've got heavily occupied with work also, so I'm only getting 1 day over the weekend to write. So
okay.
that is how going to be.
So you just mentioned about your work schedule, your full-time job besides writing. So shuffling between that must be difficult. So tell us your top three writing tips.
Top three writing tips would be just write from the bottom of your heart, and that is very important. If you really enjoy writing, then go for it. Don't take up writing, and the last tip is don't take up writing because you saw someone writing and making too much of. If you love writing, then do write it, and at least take care of basic grammatical mistakes.
Hmm. Okay, okay. That's great advice. Thank you, Bharat. So now I have the rapid fire round. Are you ready for that?
Okay.
You have to answer whatever comes to your mind first without,
Okay.
taking long. So my first question is a series or series you are currently, hooked to. It can be anything, book or TV or web
Okay.
series.
Okay, there is this series called Breathe, which I'm just seeing, but I'm not too addicted to it. I can watch it even 2 weeks or 3 weeks gap also.
Okay. Ebook or paperback?
Paperback.
Your top three book recommendations.
First book would be my book only, Samarth Poetry.
I like how you are blatantly promoting your work. Very good. Thank you. Other two?
Second book, I think if you're really struggling with your vocabulary, like I did in my school days, then you can read this book called Word Power Made Easy by Norman Lewis. In a very logical way, he has explained you can easily learn like 300, 400 words in a very logical way. He has
Okay.
told from its Latin and Greek origin.
Okay.
And the third book I would say has to be the Bhagavad Gita, and I won't say by which author because there are many authors who have written their own versions of Bhagavad Gita. So you people have to go explore, understand the meaning, and apply it in your life. So that is what I would say.
Okay. My next question is if you had to pick just one author who you could read for the rest of your life, who would be?
One author, I won't stick to any one author as such. I don't have that.
But this is rapid fire, and it is all fictional questions. You have to pick one.
I mean, it can be Osho or Sadhguru. I mean, they're in this because they have a lot of books written, so I have not read all of them.
Okay, okay, that's great. So let's say Osho, because he has a lot of books. I believe he has more than Sadhguru, written more than Sadhguru. That's what my knowledge is. I can be wrong. My next question is tea or coffee?
Neither.
Oh my
I
God.
don't drink. But
Okay. So Bharat, now the floor is open for you. You can ask me all questions if you have any, and I'll be happy to answer them.
okay, so your book, Art of Being Grateful, that's the only book I've read from your side. So can you tell about the other books that you wrote, like this Untold Stories and Rustic Mind? So how are they different from your
So,
book?
you have read The Art of Being Grateful and Other Stories, which is my third solo book. Besides that book, I have written two other solo books. My debut book was A Rustic Mind, and like yourself, my debut also began with a poetry book. So, A Rustic Mind is a collection of poems. And my second book was The Untold Stories. That is a collection of micro tales. Now, for those of the viewers who are not aware of what the micro tale genre consists of, it's a tale told in 3 to 4 sentences or half a page. So The Untold Stories is a collection of 131 such micro tales. And then there is of course The Art of Being Grateful, which you have already read. Besides these three solo books, I have also been part of two co-authored books titled Ten Tales and Zista. And in Ten Tales, there are 10 short stories which are written by authors from across the world. And Zista is a collection of 3 short stories written by authors from India. So that's about it. My books, 5 books.
Okay. So between, I have not co-authored a storybook as such.
Hmm.
So how do you find co-authoring compared to authoring? Are you feel that you put the same effort or which has more effort?
Uh, Actually, the effort is the same. The biggest advantage of being in a co-authored book is that you get to know people from your community. You get to increase your connections within the community, and also, of course, when you read those stories written by other people in that same book, you learn about what kinds of writing exist out there, and you can take a leaf out of their book and learn from them.
Hmm. Okay. So if people want to really pursue career in writing full time, so what do you want to advise to them and what options you want? What is that one advice you want to give to them?
So people like yourself who are doing a full-time job and being a writer as well, it really depends on what brings you happiness and whether you want to continue just one profession or want to continue with both the professions. If you want to go into full-time writing, the one biggest advice I can give you is that it's not going to be, very hunky dory right from the beginning. You have to work hard, just like you work hard in any other profession. It's going to take time for you to, establish yourself and start earning regular money. Regular income will take time, just like
Okay.
any other profession.
Okay. So I think can I ask you a rapid fire questions?
Yes, yes, of course.
Okay. Uh, Best book and why in one sentence?
Best book, I would say Harry Potter, the entire series, because it came at a time, when I don't believe a lot of good books existed. During the 90s, there was a dearth of good story books, which I think I and my generation would relate to. In fact, if you have read Harry Potter, you would also agree that something like that never existed before that. And that kind of, changed the writing community.
Yeah, even in I think I was in my high school,
Yeah,
and I
same.
think it,
I think I was 8 or 9 years old when the first book came.
I read that Prisoner of Azkaban book, and I could not complete it actually.
So, for those people who love reading fiction and novels, Harry Potter was kind of a revolutionary book series.
Yeah, I mean, there was a huge fan base in my class itself then. I mean, people are like, "You didn't read Harry Potter. You didn't read Harry Potter." I'm like, I tried to
Yeah,
read,
it's
I could not
a huge
complete
thing.
it.
It still continues to be a huge thing.
Yeah, yeah, I do agree. And the detail which is there in the book is not there in the movie for sure.
Yes.
Anyway, that was an answer of more than one sentence. Anyway, okay, so which is the best web series that you've ever watched?
I watch a lot of web series actually. If I'm ended with one, I start watching something else completely, without breaks. I watch something new every day. If I finish something, I move on to the other web series as soon as possible. In the recent times, I just finished Dash and Lily, and I think it's really cute. I really like the love story. It's on
Okay.
Netflix, Dash and Lily.
Okay, so the next answer is I think for looks obvious to me, but still I'm asking. Netflix, Amazon Prime, or Hotstar?
I am currently in the Netherlands and Hotstar doesn't work here, so I'm going to have to pick Netflix.
Okay.
Of late, Hotstar has had a very few good series and movies, but it doesn't work here for me. So, yeah, Netflix is the way to go for me.
Okay. And what's your favorite dish? It can be from home or outside.
I am a very simple person when it comes to food. I definitely prefer home cooked food, and I even in that, I think dal chawal would be my pick of the day anytime. You give me dal chawal, and I'm satisfied.
Okay. And in all your books, which you have written, in which you spent which book you ended up spending the most amount of time from writing, compiling, editing, all those things.
In terms of compilation, my first book took me the longest because those poems are a compilation of various stages of my life. Because I think the oldest book in that poem is something I wrote when I was 12 or 13 years old, and the latest was right before submitting the manuscript. So, in terms of compilation, A Rustic Mind is the longest book that took me time. And in terms of editing and other stuff, I think the Untold Stories took me the longest. It took me about 2.5 years to
Oh,
compile and edit it.
nice. Okay, I
Because
have.
that is also my longest book. It has 131 micro tales. So yeah, obviously it took very much long time.
Okay. Even actually, I wanted to add more poems to my old book. Then I realized that it was not fitting with the theme, and I thought I will, if I do a part two or something like that, I will put it in part two. That was my thinking.
So is that your plan? Bringing out another part two of Summer poetry?
Yeah, I'm thinking of either part two of Summer Poetry, or I'll make it with a new title so that we
Okay.
I mean,
Yeah.
that will also resonate, and it will be more generic than my first book. My first book was, it was very limited to a typical engineer who has passed out of college in the 90s. He would be able to relate a lot with my book, especially the college diaries, school diaries was there. The and another person who is slightly a spiritual seeker kind of a person, he might find that information very helpful about Himalayas,
Yes.
and even a travel person also can find that useful, especially when he reads about Kashmir and the journey in Kashmir, and any environmental enthusiast will like the last set of the book.
Oh,
So
okay.
that was the thing. But I think I feel I should make it more generic, and it should, and I
Yeah.
want it to come more naturally, the poetry.
Okay. So, Bharat, thank you for joining me today, and it has been a wonderful conversation getting to know about you, your book, and your writing. Uh, and to all the viewers who joined us, thank you for joining us. You can catch this video on my YouTube channel and on my IGTV later as well. Thank you, Bharat. Bye. Good night. Thank you for
Thank you.
joining.
Thank you, Manali. Thanks a lot. Bye.